What up, world? Waxvillain, Seattle, Washington. You already know what it is. Welcome to Two Gents Fireside Chat. We got a real one today. My brother DJ Guns and Buns coming all the way up from sunny CA. Stay tuned. What's up? Appreciate you joining. I see everybody. Guns and Buns in the building. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing?
Really good, man. Really excited for this.
Very cool. I'm happy to have you. I see we got about 5 on the line. We'll give it a couple more seconds, let folks join.
Yeah, for sure.
And we'll kick things off.
Yeah.
How's your day been today? Good?
Good, man. Just getting prepared for this, going over all the cool questions and stuff. So, yeah, man.
Was the agenda helpful?
Yeah, it really was. It just kind of gave me a chance to kind of reflect on some of the questions that you have. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go ahead and kick things off. I want to welcome everybody to Two Gents Fireside Chat. I go by the name of Waxvillain. This is very much like an interview, but fireside chats are slightly different. We try to do the research so that we're not duplicating questions. And most importantly, I'm all about engagement. So I want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to learn about our guest, meet him, and so on like that. We got about 7, 8 questions. I think we're going to go about 30, 35 minutes. Lightning round, some really cool stuff here. For me, when I was coming up, especially on the soul scene, the one challenge that I had was I could not find information on labels, artists, and so on like that. So when it came time to talk about Noriega Records and things like that, I was like, where do I find this stuff? Mike, there's nothing on your site. And that's when I went to YouTube and I found all of your work. And I thought it was super important that you are kind of like this pillar in the game where you're making this information readily available. And these are not interviews. These are multi-part documentary series that allow us to learn about musicians on the indie scene, legends on the scene, and so on like that. So I want to thank you for that. And I always thought if I ever had the opportunity to kind of pay it forward, you know, bringing you on and being able to introduce you to everybody on my platform. There's a lot of people that already know you, but for those that don't, I want to make sure they know about everything that you do so that they can go find you, support you, and also benefit as well. So I welcome you, man. This is DJ Guns and Buns. I appreciate you making time to come on.
No, thank you so much, man. I really, really appreciate the kind words, man. And yeah, I mean, I didn't know anything about a lot of these artists as well. You know, a lot of them hadn't had much material out. Some of them had no information on them at all. But that's what I was doing it for. Is really just to get to know them and learn about their journey, and putting it all together was really, really, really fun, and to work with those artists.
Very cool. To kick things off, I would just love it if you could kind of introduce yourself, tell everybody where you're from, and everything that you do with the, Universoul Groove.
Yeah, so Universoul Groove is a network, like a multi-network that I'm building. And what we have is like a YouTube channel. We have a Mixler channel, a Mixcloud channel. I'm a DJ. I go by DJ Guns and Buns. But we have these multiple channels for, basically like these interviews that we're talking about. We have a live channel on Mixler that plays music 24/7, funk, soul, oldies, hip hop, all that good stuff. For me, like I grew up in Stanton, California. Mom and dad lived there my whole life. We never really moved around or anything like that. But yeah, I go by DJ Guns and Buns, and I think that was one of the questions, like, how do I get that crazy, stupid name?
Well, we didn't have crazy, we didn't have stupid in there, but I was just really interested where you got that from.
Yeah, so I worked at a big bank, and I had 2 friends that were my coworkers, and I started DJing in like 2008. So I had like some equipment that I bought, and I go, to be a DJ, like you have to have a DJ name, but someone's gonna like kind of give it to me. I don't really want to call myself, something that is just something out of the blue. So, but we used to, the company the bank would have us, because it was such a large bank, they had like a cafeteria indoors, and so they also had a gym there as well. So I would always, talk to these friends of mine, and they knew that I was looking for a DJ name. So they're like, I would always go to their desk like, hey, like, let's go work out, the buns and guns, and they would be like, that's it. Like, that's your name. It's gotta be Buns and Guns. And I'm like, I like guns and buns. So yeah, so my friends Marissa and Melissa, they were the ones that put that name on me, and I stuck with it. And I was like, you know what? In my head, I was like, this is a really dumb name, but I know for a fact that if it's on a flyer or something, that people are always going to remember that name. So that's why I stuck with it.
I love that. Honestly, though, man, I was hoping you were going to tell me, like, in a previous chapter of life, you were like an arms dealer, or there's something like really epic behind it. But I can take that. I can get with it.
Yeah, well, I have barely any guns, but I have like the J-Lo cakes, so
Okay.
I go by that. So yeah, but yeah, it's something that, like I said, every time I was on a flyer, when I was doing clubs and things like that, people would always be like, "Oh, I was expecting like some hot chick in a bikini to play."
Yeah.
I was like, "Nah, I'm just a hairy Mexican." So.
A lot of what you're doing now is giving back to the community, right? You're helping people out, you're shining the light, you're giving recognition. I'm always curious to know, what were your influences in terms of music growing up? What did you hear in the house? What did your friends listen to? And kind of what put you in this lane, that eventually you would progress and do something like this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So my father is the biggest hippie like ever. Like, this guy, he loves his classic rock. He was big on like Steppenwolf, Grand Funk, Eagles, Doors. My mom's a big Beatles fan. So I grew up with nothing but rock. Rock is like where my heart is at.
Okay.
Soul, my father wasn't really big into soul. He would listen like to the Temptations, the Tops, the Four Tops, like just like the basic stuff. It's really my Uncle Charles, God rest his soul. He was really the one that put me like in front of like oldies and just play oldies for us all the time when we were kids. Mm-hmm. And so from there, like I would listen to like Art Laboe as a kid. Oh, wow. And just kind of get like, that's like the basics, like that's like the training wheels, right? And I'm not like some crazy big soul, like I know every artist, or I have like a big collection of 45s. Like, I definitely don't have that. But my background, again, is more rock, and, playing my dad's records and him playing music for me as a kid. I grew up a lot on hip hop, a lot of like the 90s gangster stuff was really big in my life. And just really from the gangster rap to rock, and the soul, like soul came a little bit later in life, and just learning all these songs. That's really what it comes down to. Like, learning all these songs from these spinners, it's like, it's just mind blowing. Like, I've never heard a lot of these songs. It's still, every time that they play, it's like a whole brand new thing. And I love music so much, and they really like bring out this soul. It's just so beautiful. So I love having these soul spinners on.
Yeah, it's funny, coming on to music kind of late in life. Some of these records are like 50, 60 years old. Yeah. And our guest yesterday, Supreme LaRock, has always kind of said that, whether it came out in 1960, if I just listened to it for the first time the other day, it's new to me. And so exactly. I feel really special. I get that special feeling when I hear those records, just as if it was new. And kind of the trip about it all is that, Mike Noriega has said to me, there are some records soul records, way old, that people just aren't ready for. You know what I mean? And that's a trip to kind of like, to really internalize that and be like, but what do you mean? It came out so long ago. Yeah. I think that stuff is real special. Do you remember like the first record or like cassette tape CD that you went out and bought?
Yeah, the first one I ever bought was 1999, like The Eternal with Bone Thugs and Harmony. Yeah. I remember like getting like one of those ads in the paper. It was like a Tower Record ad or Sam Goody ad, and it was like, on sale. And then I remember hearing like a few songs, and I had a rule, like I had to hear like at least 2 or 3 singles for me to go buy the CD, because back then, I mean, it was very pricey. It was like 20. I think that CD was like 20, 25 bucks. I had like no money. I was like mowing lawns. My dad was like, I'll take you to Tower Records to get it. Like, and I remember just buying it and just like, wow, this is like a game changer for me. Like, just that music was so cool. and it's like gangster rap, like yeah. So that was the first CD that I ever bought, and I think the first cassette I ever got was Arrested Development.
Mm,
My dad bought me like the Arrested Development, like the Tennessee and Mr. Wendell,
yeah.
and then and he also bought me the crisscross tape, the Jump and all that stuff. Like
Yeah,
that
I
was
love that.
yeah. So that was the first tapes I ever had. Yeah.
It's interesting you talk about like the price because I can remember being in middle school. I was cutting lawns. I remember sixth grade, right? And I think I went into like a strawberries or something, and they wanted $22 for a CD.
Yeah.
I'm reaching in my pocket. The money's all balled up, and I'm like you, I only know like a couple songs on this, so I would actually buy like cassette singles because I knew that one, there's a few songs I like, and I can get more than one. So, I remember that with tapes. And then I went out one night. This was like in sixth grade to get like all my friends were going, and I came home with 2 CDs. I think I spent like $40, which was crazy, right? And I to this day, I can remember taking the CDs out, putting them in the CD player. My mom's CD player, I didn't even have one yet.
Yeah.
So, that stuff is real special, those first kind of music discoveries and kind of all the influence when we come up. It's just interesting where we start, how we progress, what we take with us, and so on like that.
Yeah.
So, you're growing up, you're listening to different influences. What exactly were you doing before the whole Universal Groove thing? I know you said you DJ'd, but what was life prior to that? And what was kind of that straw that broke the camel's back and you said, I'm doing this, I have this vision. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to go for it.
Yeah, it really was just the DJing. Like I was DJing like clubs. I was doing like Sharky's downtown Huntington Beach. Rest in peace. Mo DJ gave me that love. Gave me the opportunity to do that. I was pretty much all up and down, Huntington Beach Strip. Did some Whittier clubs. I did a lot of that, just DJing like house, doing a lot of house, a lot of hip hop stuff. So before that, that's pretty much what I was doing. But I was also in a band before, and so like a lot of the interviews, it's like I kind of know that lifestyle, like I know like that lifestyle. I know what it takes to like kind of go perform and do shows. So that was what I was doing before even DJing, and just like in a band, So that was just something that like when I talk to these artists, I feel like I know where you're coming from, bro. I know how hard it is like to get your name out there, and that's what's really kind of driven me to kind of take it to that next step and helping them do interviews and get them attention, because I know how hard it is to like get someone to buy that $15 ticket on a Tuesday night at like 10 o'clock at night to try to drag your friends to the show. But if they know who you are and you can kind of get to know who they are, it just makes it easier to like buy into what they're doing. So yeah, before that, that was just what I was doing. And the channel just kind of really started with Santana. I always bring up Santana because Santana was, his Santana Soul Radio was something that I heard. I always wanted to, have like my own channel. I love Howard Stern. Like I love listening to him and his personality. I can never be that, right? But just having the own station and playing, the music that I love and hoping that, people will love it too. Santana Soul Radio, when I found out that, you can get a Mixler channel, I was like, whoa, this is really cool. Like I could play my own music. We could do live shows. We could promote things. If there's spinners that can come in, we can help promote. So that's really where that started. So I always give praise to Santana Soul Radio because he was just the person that just kind of opened that door for my mind to go, that'd be cool to have my own show and do my own thing.
Okay. You mentioned you were in a band. What was the kind of music were you playing? What instrument? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I was the band was called Fatal Illusion.
Okay.
And you can look us up on YouTube. You'll probably be super surprised. I'm like probably about 300 pounds lighter, so you may not recognize me. And I had actually hair at that time. So it's called Fatal Illusion, and it was metal. I was the singer in that band. I don't play really any instruments. I know a little bit guitar, but not much, barely enough to probably get through a song. But I just sang. I was the singer in that band.
Wow. And how long was this band kind of going for?
I want to say, just all in all, a grand total, probably about 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
And we did a bunch of shows, just local stuff, nothing crazy. Our last show that we ever played was at the time it was called the Galaxy, but now it's known as Observatory. That was the last show that we had, and our friends ended up getting signed that day. So it was really, really cool to be a part of that. And but yeah, we never made it. We ended up breaking up. We were just everyone's too cool for the room. So like I said, like talking to these bands, like I understand, like man, like I know what you're going through. I know how hard it is to kind of get everybody corralled and write the songs and the lugging the equipment and all that stuff. Like that's really hard stuff, and it's just hard to keep a band together for sure.
Yeah. I read something about you, and just kind of finding out that you spent 5 years in a band. I know some of the things that come along with band life, but what I read said that you've never done any drugs, you don't drink or anything like that. Is that true?
Yeah, so that is true, man. I've never had alcohol in my life. I've never had a cigarette. I've never smoked weed, no drugs, nothing. I'm like the straight edge person. The only thing I'm addicted to, bro, is root beer and hot Cheetos. Those are like my
What a
I'm like,
combo.
yeah, I'm like in rehab for hot Cheetos. That's like my ultimate like just addiction. But yeah, no alcohol. My whole life I've never had a beer in my life. And I credit that to my father. My father was he used to drink before I was born, but when I was born, he stopped drinking. So I never had like alcohol in my house. I never had like, hey, son, hand me a beer type thing. My family's big drinkers. All my family's big drinkers. But in my house, my dad never had it around. And I just he led the example for me to not drink or anything. So,
That's super dope. Yeah. I don't really keep alcohol in the house. I'm like amateur night if I'm ever out, right? Around like Christmas time, I might like go get some red wine, but it's just never really like been a thing for me. So now I love craft soda, and you mentioned root beer. So I need to know, what are your top choices when it comes to root beer?
I used to really pound like the IBCs, like the 40 IBCs. I don't
Okay.
really see them too much anymore. I used to get them like they had them at like the Dollar Tree. They used to sell those 40s. But I've been drinking, what the heck's the name of them? They're like a small craft beer. They sell it. Oh man, I can't remember the name. If I'll think of it. But like IBC, I like A&W. This is the basics. Those are like really the main ones that I like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I wanted to learn a little bit more about the stuff you're doing outside of YouTube. You had said Mixlr and Mixcloud. A couple things. One, I'd love for you to just kind of elaborate on that for our guests that are watching so they understand why they might go there as opposed to the YouTube, kind of the different things. And for me, I guess, kind of doing what I do, I was curious as to know why you left YouTube to kind of touch those other areas when you could have probably done it all on YouTube if you wanted to.
Well, YouTube has this thing where like if you play music on there, it may cut you out. So I was doing all my interviews on YouTube, and my goal is like, hey, I'm gonna start doing these live shows and streaming it on YouTube. But I was getting strikes. They were giving me strikes because some of the songs were just being registered by YouTube, and they were cutting them out. And then they were like, well, we're gonna give you some strikes, and you may lose your channel if you get 3 strikes.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so I was like, well, I don't want to lose the channel. I got too much going on there. But Mixcloud is a really good platform. It's pretty big, like in the Europe side. It's not really too big, I don't think, in America. I think everyone's on Twitch, and I have a Twitch channel too. But the Twitch is like they're going through the same thing. They're going through legal battles we'll be going through legal battles with some of the music. So, but Mixcloud has bought the rights to the music. So if there's a recording on there, it's not going to get cut out. And also they stream live with the video. So video is live. The only thing unfortunate about after on Mixcloud is that it's just all you can really do is just hear the music back. So if you want to stream it, you can. So everything's archived there on Mixcloud. Also on Mixlr as well, everything's archived on there as well if you want to just listen to the live show that we do. And then YouTube, recently I started going on YouTube because I know like some of the spinners that are coming in, like their music is just so like unheard of, like YouTube just can't even like hang. So I've just been like playing it and I haven't had any issues, but I know when it comes around to like, maybe doing like some Serato DJs that we want to have come in and they play like the newer hip hop. Yeah, it's strictly going to be on the Mixcloud. But yeah, if you guys aren't following the Mixcloud and the Mixer channels, definitely do that. All the links are in our bio. I really like that platform. It's really cool. And like I said, we have live video, and I do like graphics and things that relate to the spinner that's playing. And that's something that you could watch live, and that's on the Mixcloud. And then Mixer again is just audio there.
Okay, very cool. I kind of want to go back to UG and talk about the guests, because when I look at the roster of people that you've had come through there, from George Miller Jr. to Mike Noriega, Bobby O, you know, the Intuitions, how do you go about kind of choosing your guest lineup, and how do you prepare for something like a heavy lift? I mean, we're talking, you know, hours plus of footage. You know, there's editing going on. Would you mind kind of elaborating on that for us?
Yeah, I'll start off with the artists. You know, like it really comes down to this, man. Like anybody that you see an interview that I've done or spend some time with, it's really like I have to love what they do. You know, I have to have a love for the music and a love for what they're doing, and see that they really want to take it to the next level. You know, for like Noriega, for example, I mean, he had a record shop. I had no idea what Noriega was all about. I was just sitting there like, this guy, I went to his shop. I enjoyed the experience. He put me on to some records. You know, he was just a really cool dude. And I'm like, you know what? And I know that other friends and family were getting records from him. I'm like, you know, it'd be cool just to give his store some love. I thought that's all he did. I didn't really understand that he's a singer. He was in a band. He loves rock. You know, he's doing, like, he's putting out records. I didn't even know any of this, but I knew that he was a person that's in it like 100%.
Yeah.
Same thing with George. George is another person that he's in it 100%. He's been doing it for a very long time. I wanted to know the story myself. And so for every artist that I've, you know, interviewed, it's really like I just have a love for what they do and the music that they're putting out. And, you know, that's number one. I mean, that's where it comes from right there.
Very cool, very cool. What about the prep work? How are you preparing for these kind of things?
Yeah, the prep work, really, I just do the Zoom, and I just cut it up in iMovie. I cut it up in iMovie, and really what you're seeing when you see an interview from me, basically what you're seeing back is the interview, right? But then you're also seeing what's going on in my head as I'm listening to them talk. So like there was a scene that I always laugh about when Santana of Soul Radio, and I'm interviewing him, he's talking about a fight that he got into that really changed his life from being just like, you know, a street guy to like a super street guy, and just, you know, buying all in on it, and how it changed his life. And I'm thinking of like Heathcliff, you know, that big cloud of like fighting. So it's like I put that on the video, and I mean that's what's going through my head as I'm listening to them talk. And yeah, I mean the prep work is just really I would just scour YouTube and just, all right, I'm thinking of this scrap fight. I'm gonna find a Heathcliff, a fight, and then cut it up, put it in, and add it. So yeah, I mean that's really what it is. It takes hours, and like I said, I won't do an interview unless I really like the artist and I really believe in what they're doing, because it takes so much time. It takes almost about a week to put together, the episodes.
Wow. Who's next? Who are you going to bring on next? Do you have any ideas, any wants? Is there anything secured?
I have one coming up. I kind of want to keep it secret because I think it's going to be a big one.
Sure,
but I would like Bad Vic. I've reached out to Bad Vic. I feel like the Los Yesterdays are a group that at first I wasn't really like a big fan of Los Yesterdays. I heard it a couple times. I was kind of like, eh. Then I kept spinning it. I'm like, you know what? And I seen them live. That was a big one too. I seen them live.
Wow.
And it was just like, they blew me away. And I'm like, man, I really want to interview that guy. But I've reached out, and we'll see if that happens.
Very cool. That's super exciting. While we're talking about, musicians that we love and guests that have been on the show, we've got a lot of collectors on the line. I'd love it if you could kind of just talk about maybe some of your favorite records. If there's something nearby you'd like to kind of show us, that would be really cool to see, where your collection's at, kind of the records you go for and so on.
Yeah, so I have a few set aside. My favorite record of all time, this record just changed my life, man. I was like I said, I was growing up on hip hop, and my dad was a rock fan, so I had it like in my blood. But I had a job, and this guy was like, man, like, what kind of music are you into? And at the time, I was listening to like Nine Inch Nails, and he's like, whoa, like Nine Inch Nails, like that's hardcore, bro. And I'm like, really? I'm like, I guess. And then he goes, I want to bring you this tape, and the tape was Rage Against the Machine.
Oh.
And that just like, when I seen that, that just like totally changed my life, because it was hip hop, which I love, and there was also rock.
Yeah.
And so I went out and bought this record.
Oh, nice.
And this was like the record that just changed my life, man. I could play this record like over and over. I just never get tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just really, really just changed my life. And, you know, I love that band. You know, I've seen them in concert multiple times, and they just really just changed my life, man. Yeah. Yeah. And then also I have another one that also changed my life, which is this one right here.
Okay,
Bjork.
yeah, Bjork.
I'm a huge fan of Bjork, and yeah, this record just again changed my life. Like I just heard it, and I actually threw this record like out the window at one point. I downloaded it and I like threw it out. I'm like, this stuff is garbage. Like, this is garbage. And I just didn't understand it, but I kept giving it spins, and just she ended up becoming like one of my favorite artists of all time.
Really?
Yeah, like she made me earn it, bro. I had to spin that record. Like, I honestly sat down in my room and spun that record like 10 times in a row. And on the 10th time, I'm like, dude, like, this shit either sucks or I'm crazy. I don't know. Like, and then I just like the 10th time, I was like, this shit is genius. This is the best music I've ever heard in my life. And I'm just a huge fan of her. Like, that's probably the one person that if I ever interviewed, I don't know if I can make it to that interview without crying. Like, that girl is like, she's amazing. So yeah, I thought about Bjork. Go check her out.
I got to ask this question. When I find records like that, albums, there's typically something going on in my life that I'm almost pinning that music to. I grew up as an only child, so, you know, when I was in my room growing up, it was always me and the music, right? When I wanted someone to talk to, it came out of the speakers. When I was sad, I knew what album to put on and so on like that. So when you talk about a Rage Against Machines record and then, you know, Bjork album, what were the connection points that you had at that time? What made it special, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, just with Rage Against the Machine, it was just cool because, like I said, I was a big hip hop guy, and you know, the Snoop Dogg's, the Dr. Dre's, the Warren G's, like all that stuff was, you know, on my tapes, and you know, and so, but I just loved the sound, and it just was like, it was political, like it was deeper than just a regular track, like just everything that just the coolness of them performing and some of the videos that they had. I'm like, man, like I love like that video that I seen of Rage Against the Machine, like put a vision in my head. I want to do that. Like, I want to be on stage, and it's still carrying to today. Like, I love performing. I love DJing for people. Like, I love being in front of a crowd, rocking the crowd. Like, that video just changed my life in so many ways. But that music is so special. With Bjork, I've always said this, like, if you're super in love and you listen to Bjork, you're gonna fall even deeper in love.
Wow.
If you're super sad or heartbroken, you're probably gonna hang yourself if you listen to Bjork, because it's so deep, it's so real, it's so raw. Like, that's like, you gotta watch it, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, so Bjork for me, like, it just came at a time when, you know, I've been in love or I've been heartbroken. Yeah.
Could you tap your phone? We're hearing you a little different.
I don't know. Want me to rejoin?
No, I think you're okay now. It sounds a little tinny.
Oh.
Just go ahead. We can keep rolling.
Yeah, just like I said, Bjork is just an artist that is just, man, like, if you're sad, don't listen to it. If you're happy and you're in love, this is like the music for you. You'll fall deeper in love for sure.
That's interesting. There's a Weldon Irvine record. I don't know if you're familiar with him. One of his records was sampled by Jay-Z. I think it was Dear Summer. And I loved that song, but I had started to listen to it around the time, or I was listening to it a lot around the time my grandmother passed. And to this day, I have not been able to like listen to that record. So I always think the connection points that we have to music are so important, because there's almost a timestamp on them where when the music plays, we almost can reflect and go back and see those times, those chapters of life. So it's really interesting and special.
I have a song like that if I hear it, I get so emotional. That's that Amazing Star. I had a cousin that passed away. They played that at her funeral, my cousin Sophia. And every time I hear that Amazing Star, I just like, fuck, I gotta change the channel because it brings me back right to that. Yeah.
It'd be real like that sometimes.
Yeah, no, it is.
When did you get into soul and really going after the 45s?
I never collected any 45s. I always say that I leave that up to the pros. But I do add to the channel. Like, so on the Mixler channel, I'm always constantly adding soul to the channel. So if you guys ever listen to the Mixler channel, even like right now, Rabbit Town Soul, rest in peace. I'm doing like a whole week of just oldies for him. But I'm constantly adding to this. So I don't buy any 45s other than the few that I have, and I'll show them to you. But I don't collect the 45s. I leave it up to the pros. They're so expensive. But I started getting into oldies, man, probably like 4 or 5 years ago, tough. And I've always like collected with the basics, but there's been so much coming out. And I always tell these soul spinners, I'm like, dude, there's like, every time I see a new performance by one of you guys, like, it's always like a whole new world, man. Like, there's just new stuff coming out constantly, and I give those guys so much love for the money and the effort that they put into buying these 45s. But yeah, I don't collect any 45s or oldies. Okay. I'll leave it to the pros, bro.
It's so interesting because I could not get into 45s because there was typically no album art.
Yeah.
I needed like a picture. I needed something to see. It was like looking at the labels that was so time consuming. And it wasn't until I put those records on the turntable that like I got it. And I've gone after some of those big records that you talk about. I also love the reissues too. I kind of went through this when I started collecting a long time ago. I was going after OGs. And when you start to see some of those $200 and $500 price tags, you start to realize your reach, right? If I get this, then I'm going to have to freeze for a second. And, it's just really interesting. Sometimes I go OG, sometimes I don't. There was a record one time I had asked Nori about, and I was expecting him just to like message me back, but he like video called me. He's like, what do you want this record for? He's like, you can't go after these ones. Like, you're going to go broke.
Yeah.
And so I have my thresholds. I think there are certain records, especially the older ones, because of the condition sometimes, I'm only willing to spend a certain amount based on that. There's some records where I've gone with the reissue, and I said, you know what, now that I've heard it, $50 was the right price for me to spend on this. I couldn't do that $250 or that $150. And so I'm kind of all over the place with it, but it works out that way.
Yeah, those records, like I said, I leave it to the pros. I don't have the attention span. I heard the Supreme interview, the other day, and I'm like, he did like him. I don't have my attention just can't stay on like that record digging through the 45s. I just can't do it, man. And then like I can't pay that amount of money and get one song. I just can't. Like I can't do it. But I do appreciate the folks that have them. Yeah. And obviously, we have them on the show, and they play their heart out with those, and they spend their heart out with those. And I'm just a fan. I'm just a person that just loves what they do, and I love putting them on and giving them that love. And that's what I love.
You do a good job with it, man. I mean, like I said, a pillar in the game because no one else is doing it. No one else is doing those lengthy interviews. It's one version of the truth because you're getting to meet the artist and you're hearing stories that you can't read anywhere. That's what you do so special.
Thank you.
I'd love to cruise on to our lightning round. This is 10 quick questions. Answer as fast as you can. First one up, name a song you've been listening to a lot lately.
Oh, man. I'm going to go Shame on Love right here.
Okay. Oh.
Shame on Love, man. Johnny Ruiz and the Escapers, bro. I interviewed these guys, and they are just an amazing group, amazing people, and they're so generous with their time. But yeah, that's the one I've been bumping there. Shame on Love.
Shout out to Supreme Larock for joining real quick. I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, Supreme, what's up?
So I'm going to skip the next one. It was LP or 45. I think I know the answer to that.
I have another one. I have another 45 that I grabbed that I have. This is
Okay,
Adrian
yeah.
Conrad, man.
Yep.
Another interview that I did. Super generous guy, man. We have so much in common. This guy was in a metal band as well.
Yeah.
So we had a lot to relate, but his 45, man, if you guys aren't on this, man, if you can still get it, I would go out and get it. Guy's amazing, dude. Cool guy.
Great 45. I discovered Adrian at the beginning of the year, and
Okay.
the only reason I discovered because I had the sound turned on. I was scrolling. I stopped, and I'm like, wait a minute. Found the music on Apple, and the rest was history. I reached out to him. I'm like, dude, where have you been?
Yeah, he's amazing. Amazing guy, man. Really cool person, and yeah, really good performer.
All right, here we go. If you had to pick OG black vinyl or colored?
I like the colored, man. I watch your interviews, and I'm like, they're always like, OG black. I mean, it's cool, man, but like, I love to see the color, man. Like, that's really cool to me.
I'm like,
that's the art.
You know, when we were kids, when we look at the cereal, we always choose to buy like the toy, right?
Yeah.
But now it's like when I see that colored vinyl, I don't even have to like the music sometimes. If the wax looks good, that's enough for me. But you know, and I get disappointed sometimes on a reissue, and I'm like, "Where's the color variant?" They're like, "No, we just did black." I'm like, "Oh, I lose interest."
Yeah, I mean, I always think that's cool. I always like, even like on the CDs, when they had like cool art on the CDs or art, you know, like that was always a really cool thing to have, you know? So.
Yeah. Favorite record store to go to?
I do a lot on Discogs. I'm trying to, I mean, obviously Noriega Records, man, that's the best right there. Like, I love the atmosphere there. He doesn't really carry, like you mentioned, like, doesn't really carry like the new stuff really coming out. It's more the OG stuff. Yeah. So Noriega Records for sure. I mean, he's got the cuts. He'll walk you through the songs. He tells you what's like in the safe. You know what I mean? Like, you know. But I love that he has like a lot of the classic rock as well. So I love collecting like the classic rock. Yeah.
Very good. What's something you listen to that might surprise us?
I lost you there. Sorry.
What's something you listen to that might surprise us?
Definitely the Bjork stuff, and this one right here. This is another record that I have by a group called Broadcast.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of this group, dude. This shit is so amazing. I feel like this chick died. She passed away. She passed away a few years ago. But yeah, man, like. Broadcast is the shit, and I definitely, if anybody's out there, just listen to this records, like their records. They're so cool. They're so like retro 60s, and it's just so cool. Like Broadcast, man, check them out. That's probably one of the groups that people be like, how the fuck do you listen to this? Like, this is crazy. This is different music for sure.
I'm definitely checking that out.
Broadcast, bro, they're so good.
All right, so favorite concert and why?
Favorite concert that I ever attended had to be the Democratic Convention with Rage Against the Machine. Just that crazy, it was like a crazy adventure. It was a free concert in downtown LA, Staples Center. They have, if you buy or you could even YouTube it, they have the Rage Against the Machine, you know, live performance at the Democratic Convention. That was just the craziest concert that I ever went to. It was free. I seen people pretty much die. We were dodging rubber bullets, like in the pit, had no choice, like snipers everywhere, helicopters, like just everywhere, cops everywhere. Like, I mean, that concert for sure took the cake, and it was worth every single rubber bullet dodge to see them live for the first time. I had never seen them before. So it was the first time, and I just remember just being in awe of just seeing Rage Against the Machine just live. And for free on top of that, like, you can't beat it. And it's like a political cause on top of that. It was awesome.
I can't believe that the concert's going on while all this is happening.
Yeah, so they just set up shop like right in front of the Staples Center for the Democratic Convention. So they had like Bill Clinton talking, George Bush was coming into office, they were still voting. So they had like, it was what, Bush and Gore were going at it. So, but they had Bill Clinton was talking that day, and they just set up shop, put up a stage, and You can YouTube this, bro. It's like the crazy. I mean, you'll watch it. And it was just amazing. Like it was just like on the spur of the moment. The show started like in 30 minutes till my buddy called me. He's like, we're going. I'm like, dude, all right, like pick me up. Drove to LA 100 miles per hour on the shoulder the whole way up. Got off the car, parked it, ran all the way to the show, and they rocked it, bro. And then we ran out because they were shooting everybody there. They're literally shooting rubber bullets at like every person there to get the hell out of there. So it was craziest concert I ever went to.
I'm getting anxiety just thinking about all this stuff.
It was just an adventure, and my parents had no idea that I was there. I was only like 17, 18 years old, and then like I was supposed to be at work. I called out sick and everything, like just to get to that show. I mean, it was like the chance to see Rage Against the Machine, and then right after that, they broke up. So it was like,
wow,
that was it. You know, like maybe like a couple months later, they broke up after that. So it was luckily I got the chance to see it.
That's wild. I mean, it doesn't rival any of the concerts I went to. When I think about some of my favorite concerts, I always think about the time I was 12 years old and I convinced my mother to drop me off at the Notorious B.I.G. and Mary J. Blige concert. It was at SUNY Albany. I'm 12 years old, man. I'm thinking I'm hard as nails. My outfit is straight out of Source magazine. I got the lugs on. I'm dressed like, you know, Snoop was in like the Jen and Juice video or whatever. And I walk into this place and it's dark. And I smell something that smells like rope is burning, but it's not rope burning anywhere. It was such an experience, man. And then the music was so loud, you know? He ended up getting arrested and he didn't make the concert, but I remember Mary J. Blige was there. I think Miss Jones, AZ. I remember Smith & Wesson at the time. But I was 12 years old. I had no business being there.
Wow. I think the worst concert I've ever been to was a Mary J. concert. And not because of her performance. Not because of her performance, because there were some girls behind us and Mary J. was just like, I mean, she sang great. She played all the hits. That was awesome. But she was ragging on guys just in general. She's like, if you're mad, is this? And every girl behind me was like throwing like popcorn and freaking soda. I'm like, dude, I'm just a man. I'm just a man trying to live, trying to love. But yeah, I mean, but overall, Mary J., she put it down. It was a good concert. But yeah, she just was ragging on dudes all day. So
that's a trip. She must have been going through something.
She was going through it, and she took it out on me. So.
My brother, that takes us to the end of our fireside chat. I want to thank you so much, not just for coming through, but again, for everything that you've done for the community, for folks that love music and everything like that. I commend you. I admire you. You know, you've definitely set the bar for this. And, you know, in a way kind of inspired me because I come on the gram and I talk to people. My whole thing was I want to do something that would complement what you do, not do the same thing. And so I hope as you've seen my work, you know, over this year and everything, you know, you appreciate it. And you know, I'm here as an ally to support you. Anything I could ever do to help you, no questions asked, consider it done, man.
No, I really appreciate you doing this and taking the time, man. And I really thank you for the kind words. And yeah, I love what you do. Like I've been watching the interviews, following along as well. And trying to get you some fans, you know, because I think like the artists that we're talking to and the spinners that we're putting on, they need the love, you know, and I want to help them, and you know, you guys get that for sure.
Very cool. Before we dip, just tell everybody one more time where they can find you, what you have coming up next, so that we can tune in and kind of follow your progress.
Yeah, so to follow us really on Instagram, our YouTube channel, Universoul Groove, YouTube, Universoul Groove, Mixler, Universoul Groove, Instagram. I'm sure you're here already. We have a Twitter as well that you could watch live stuff back. We have a Snapchat TikTok as well. Yeah, we have a TikTok as well, yeah. So those are the main things. I do shows right now on Modelo Mondays with Miklo. And he's with Keepin' Trucha, and they do it with the Function Car Club and Associated Car Club. This is every Monday in Fullerton at Larry's Pizza. They have an awesome, it's such a family event. It's awesome to have all the cars there. People come through. We play music live outside. We also have Feed Me Friday, which is thrown also by Associated and Function. It's the last Friday of the month where we play also live music, and they have a big car show. So that's happening all the time. follow the Instagram. You'll get the details there. And there's more performances coming up soon. So definitely just tune in to the Instagram and you'll get those notifications. And I have a lot of soul spinners. I'm booked all the way to October, and there's a lot of surprises that are coming up. Yeah, a lot of surprises that are coming up, and you guys are gonna really love the artists and the spinners that we have coming up.
I'm excited. I can't wait. If I can do anything to help you promote that, you know I got your back 100, man.
For sure, man. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. The stream will be available afterwards. If you don't share it with me, share it with my brother right there. Waxvillain, Seattle, Washington. We're signing off. Thanks, everybody.
Peace.